Hi guys, so welcome back to the first video of 2024. I hope you all had a great new year and a good Christmas. I've obviously been doing a little bit of work on some trees. A few trees I've managed to have had to have collected now, so they've been repotted up. But I'll show you those at a later date if they survive. Don't want to get anyone's hopes up. But what I did want to do is just do a little video on my beech stump. Now this, obviously, if you remember when it came to me, was just twiggy. These were all twigs and they have thickened up so much after a year. And what I want to do today is go through and defoliate it, get all these dead leaves off, because obviously beech take ages to drop the leaves. So I'm just going to snip them off, just snip them off around here, so we can see the actual structure of the tree. And I just want to clip it back. And if we need any wire, we'll wire it, obviously. But I just want to get it ready for spring so we can get maximum ramification as possible. So I'll be back in a second once I've defoliated it. So guys, welcome back. Now, as you can see, just defoliated the tree. And my God, what a difference from the first year. If you can think back to the videos that I did first on it. Hold on, I've got to fix that bit of wire in a minute. If you think back to the first videos on what I did on this tree and how thin, bearing in mind most of the twigs on the tree were about this length. They had no ramification and they were about, I don't know, probably a bit longer than this back one here. And now look at it, we've got absolutely tons and tons of ramification. That's all already happened on the tree, and that is in a very short space of time. And without really any, apart from some prune backs every now and then to promote some back budding throughout last year, that's all I really did on this tree, because I wanted to give it as much vigor in the top to help the roots grow down here. Because obviously, if you remember when we repotted this tree, it needs a lot more fibrous roots, preferably underneath there. It's been surviving obviously for years with the roots it's got, but if it could get a really nice base of fibrous roots under the tree, that'd be really, really nice. So yeah, this is it. Obviously, we got the ugly stump at the top, and what I am planning on doing is cutting, well, it'll be more probably towards the back, so it slopes down to the back, so we don't see the cut as much from the front. And then this here will be the new leader. Now this is by far the thickest branch, so it makes sense that it's the new leader. So yeah, the cut will be down here. We do obviously have some of the back branches around here. Yeah, we are yet to decide, but I think they will also form part of the crown. So this will be the top here. So we need to make sure that most of this top isn't going to grow absolutely tons. We want to reduce the apical growth, and we need to develop these branches down here to extend out so we get more of a nice bonsai shape, so to speak. But I really do like the branch placement on this tree. I do think it is great. Now there is one branch that I'm looking at it now. I'm not going to do any major branch pruning yet because it's a bit too cold, and I'll do that more just before the buds pop, when we have nutrients and stuff coming through the tree so it can heal better. I know I could probably do it now, but the UK's due some warm weather, some cold weather next week, so all I'm going to do today is just do some very small little snips on the actual branches. But ideally, I was contemplating taking this branch off completely. And I'm not sure. The problem I have is it's like a handlebar. I don't know if anyone has a way of sorting it without taking the branch. It would leave quite a big gap here. We might be able to bring this branch around, possibly. I'm not sure. Or the other way is I cut back to the first branch here, this one. So we cut back here, and then we bring this branch into the back a bit more. And bend it around. I know it's not going to create loads of like inverse taper necessarily, but I'm not sure if it looks right with the handlebar. I like the alternating branches going up here, And then, so if you're going off of all of these, you've got this one, this one, this one, this one. We need a branch here, unfortunately. This would be the ideal spot for that branch. If this one was moved up, that would be ideal. And then obviously, if we spin it around to the back, this branch needs a lot of development. I think it was hidden quite a lot during last year. So I need this. I need to make sure that this branch gets plenty of light this year, to try and, because you can see this branch hasn't thickened up as much as all of these other ones. So I won't be pruning this branch today, probably not for a while, because I really want this one to thicken up. Whereas all these branches up here that are getting quite chunky now, I need to think about possible wiring and where I want the branches to be. This one down here, I quite like already. The wiring needs to be redone because I only did it really loosely because I didn't want it to bite in. But we've got plenty of buds down here. And next spring, obviously, we will be cutting back to promote these buds forming, because at this rate, this tree is just going to get these buds going, and we don't want necessarily these buds. We want these ones in here to form, to create that pad, that nice level pad. But apart from that, I'm really pleased with this tree. Really nice find. Once we get the top sorted, and then this branch needs a massive clear up. This one's got, you can see why it's got so thick, because it's got so many branches attached to it. This one in a minute needs a good clean up, and the other ones just need a little prune. I was hoping with this tree to do more like directional pruning with it. I wanted to try that, but it comes to a stage where I think if I do that, it's just all gonna, it's mainly just gonna go up. So a little bits of wire every now and then, I think will help. Alright guys, so we're gonna start off with the first branch. Now looking at this, obviously we've got some nice movement in it. This branch at the back needs to be brought down a little bit, but we've got two buds here, and we've got these ones. So this branch I'm actually going to leave for now. We've got this smaller branch here that hopefully will be able to wire out into this space more, to create the pad. And this is the first branch that I wanted to prune. Obviously we've got a bud here, we've got a second bud here, and we've got a bud here, and then the main bud here. What I wanted to do is just snip off the main bud, which will hopefully promote this one here to branch out, and this one here, and hopefully some of these back ones eventually. It's just all ways of getting better ramification in it. Now this one here hasn't actually got any buds up this branch, which is really disheartening actually. So this branch here has got a really long internode here before we actually get to any buds. So what I want to do is, at the moment, I'm just going to bring it back to these two buds like this, and hopefully we may get some back budding along here. If we get some back budding, that is great, because we need some. If not, this branch will possibly be removed come spring, and then we'll bring this branch around into the front, and then use these secondary branches on this branch to fill this space, if you know what I mean, obviously. This branch at the back, we've got the buds, and what I was going to prune it back to here, but I think actually we'll leave that. We'll leave that for now, because that is not bad. It just needs a bit of wiring. Obviously, next branch up, this one is fairly alright really. We got some branches back up here, which are great. Hopefully we can get them coming out. We've got many buds along this branch here. What I will do is just come back to here, so we can get this bud, and hopefully all it's going to do is hopefully just promote, because this one will become the main bud at the tip now, and then it should promote this slightly weaker one down here, and then hopefully some of the ones at the back. If we turn it around, you see this branch here. This branch is actually dead, which is a real shame. It looks like it's been knocked and cut off. That is a real shame, to be honest. Is there any buds on there? No. Oh, that's a damn shame. Right, so unfortunately that one's gone. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to leave it for now, just in case, because beech have a very good tendency to back bud, as you can see up here. So if this branch, it looks like it's dead to about here, unfortunately, and if that's the case, it will just be removed. But we may get a bud at the base at some point, and if we can get the bud at the base, that'll be absolutely smashing. To regrow that branch. If not, we'll have to just suck it up and use other branches when they come. Now the next one is this one here. Let me just stand up. So it's not going to focus because it want, oh there you go, because it wanted to be awkward. But we've got two buds here, but we do have one underneath this bud. You can just see it there. So what I do want to do is just come in and clip that bud off, so we've got much better possible ramification then when it comes. It really doesn't want to focus, does it? We've got much better ramification hopefully, and I think there is a bud down here, so we can get this one to grow out and fill this space, and then we've got all of this. Now this is a dead stump from last year, so we'll remove that, and then we've got a bud down here. Got a bud down here, got a bud here, a bud here. And what I want to do is remove this bud to make this one more prominent, so it can fill out into this space. Along this branch here, this branch needs a little bit of wire on it just to bring it a bit flatter, because it's growing a bit too far up at the moment. But we've got a bud back here, we've got a bud here, bud here, bud here. So we've got good buds coming all the way up the branch. But what I want to do, well actually no, because it's such a main branch, I was going to cut it back, and we'll cut this one back to there, cut that one back, so we've got a very dormant bud here, and that hopefully now will be promoted at some point to carry on. Get rid of that knob. This one needs to be brought down. I'm going to leave this one because it's got a bud here, it's got a bud here, and we've got one here. It just needs to be brought down to fill this space much more, and that's so far our ramification. Bearing in mind from what we already had to begin with, that is much better after only 1 year. Beech are such great growers, it's unbelievable really. Now this one here we do want to extend more. I know I did cut it back, but well, that's because I want shorter internodes if possible, and a bit more directional pruning from the buds when they grow. But this one up here, as it's such a high near the top branch, we do want to bring it back just a little bit for now. So we're going to chop all this back. You see this branch here, this one has got, it's not a bad branch, but these ones have got quite thick for what they are. So what I'm going to do is bring them back to a pair of buds to add much better taper within the tree. So we'll get these buds all coming out, and they will add much better taper. This one here at the back got a really long internode in between those two buds, so we're just going to cut that one back as well. So we got 1, 2 and 3, and then that can grow into that. It's just bringing it in because we want to reduce the taper if at all possible, and we also want the tree to be staggered up. So what we want is these branches down the bottom to be more allowed to grow more, because we want these to be longer and bigger than these ones up the top here. Really we want these ones to thicken up more than the ones at the top, and at the moment it's the opposite way around, which is a real shame. If it is the case continuing, we may end up having to cut this one back to say here, and then we can grow this as the new leader of this branch, and get rid of all this thick stuff at the top, because it is quite thick for how high it up is in the tree. At the moment we've got 2 buds here. I will leave them for now, they're like a backup basically. I know they're there. We may end up using them more than we use these, we'll see. Probably not. This branch here, this one's really good already. I quite like the amount of tape on that. Same with this branch over here. We need to bring this one back a little bit because it's got a bit too big for its boots. So what we'll do, I don't want to bring them back tons, so you know, we're going to cut there. That means we've got all these dormant buds here, hopefully that will be pushed to grow. Bring that one back to that bud. this one here, bring back to that bud. It's a dead bit there. We also do have a bud down here, and hopefully if this one can get going, we can fill this gap with that. This branch here needs to be brought down, but it also needs to be taken right back here to these set of buds, and you can see there's a really short internode space. So we've got 1 bud, 2 bud, 3 bud, 4 bud. Okay, so with a bit of wire, these pads are definitely coming along, I think, much better. Actually, this one here, I'm just going to snip back to that one, and this one around the back. Same with the other side. I need to add much better taper. So we're going to go right back to that one there. Right back to there, because what I want to do is promote these two and add much better taper into that branch, because it is getting really thick. And the thing is once they thicken up, they get harder to wire. So I'd much prefer to have thinner branches that I can wire with thinner wire than having to wrap this thick stuff all around the tree, because that's just way more fiddly and much harder to do. Going around to the back here, you can see we've got 3 branches. Now we've got to decide from the front here what one we really want to get rid of, because we've got this branch here that's going to grow into this space, and we do have this branch here. So what I'm going to do is actually take out the much more dominant one in the middle, like that. So we'll take that one out in the middle there, and then we'll use these 2 branches. What I will do is just prune that one back, and we'll leave that one as it is. Spin it around. We've got this one here. Now this one, I'm not sure really what I wanted to do with it, so I've let it grow for now, and I will continue to let it grow. But what I'll do is I'll cut it back just so we get that continued taper in the tree and the branches itself. Now the last branch, and I'll finally stop boring you, is actually this apex branch is up here. Now we do have 2 branches here, one of which is much thinner. So what I will do actually is I'm going to come back to here, and I'm going to cut that big thick one off. Because it's the apex, I don't want this branch getting, I want it getting thick enough obviously to carry on the apex, but we don't want it getting so thick that we can't ramify it and wire it, and so it grows with the rest of these branches, because like I said before, we need these primary branches down the bottom to grow out and thicken up, because they are our main bottom branches. You know, when you look at a normal tree, you don't see tons and tons of weak ones always at the bottom. When you look at an old tree is what I mean. And then obviously the top is strong, but we need, for the style of the tree, a bit more better ramification up the top. So obviously we've got that one, and then eventually that one will probably die back, and then we'll cut it maybe nearer the spring, just so I don't affect the main trunk, and then this branch here will become the new leader. Now if that is the case, just considering what to do, I think this one here needs to go, because that's way too thick for how high up it is. And then we do have a secondary branch here that we can bring around. This one here we can bring around into this spot here. Now this branch here we need to bring around the back, but it's too thick really to move at the moment. So what I'm going to do is we'll go back to this bud, and then this bud, a bit of directional pruning here. So once this one's wired, a bit of directional pruning, this one will grow off into this direction, and then we can fill the space with the branches that come off of this bud. Okay. Obviously we do have a branch around the back here, so this one will also grow out. We can grow out possible for that space. This one here, in my opinion, is possibly too thick as well for the taper in the branch, is what I'm meaning here. So what I'm gonna do is cut this one back as well to where that is. Obviously these branches are a bit thicker cut, so I will go put some cut paste on these after the video, but you can see how we've improved the ramification already. We've got this branch here. This one possibly may need to be cut back to this bud here, and we'll start this branch completely again in this direction. That is possibly going to be more likely. In fact, saying that, I'm going to do that right now, just because I want it to be ready for spring. So this one here, we do have a bud here, but we'll probably end up, I'll leave that on for now just to help the health of the branch, but we'll probably end up removing that one because it's crossing over, and then we'll extend this bud hopefully, and this bud can fill up this space, joining up with this back branch around here, and then this will hopefully create the apex of the tree. What I am hoping is when I do cut the stub back that we may get some back budding on the front here, or some, you know, some budding because of the wound. If we can get that, that'd be great, because I could really do with a branch coming out here to fill this space a bit more. That would be really, really handy. Obviously, if there are any buds on here, I will make sure not to cut them. I think that possibly was one, but it looks dead now because it's just falling off. But we'll see when it comes to it. But anyway, so we got this one, we got a small branch down here if we need it. This one will clear up these stubs come spring, and once it's healed a bit better. We've got a branch here, you know, lots of ramification. You can see with this one here, we've got the, let it focus, we've got the really dominant bud with two smaller buds right next to it. So what I want to do is go in there and just remove the main primary bud, because what that will hopefully do is now these two buds will become the primary buds, and they'll branch off into their fork with their nice little acute angle there, and we'll get better ramification. This one will come out. We got this one, we got the bud here and a bud here for branching. It's really, I really do like working with beech trees because they work really, really well when it comes to needing to ramify your tree. Now this one up here has got a very dominant bud as well, so what I'm going to do is just cut that one back to here. It's just all to add better ramification, and I just want to make sure that the branches aren't thickening up too quick, because then I'm just going to have to cut back next year to get the taper in the branches. Hi guys, so just quickly, I did just end the video in the previous clip, but in fact then decided to add some, just a little bit, loose wiring, just for temporarily, until spring's kind of hardened them up. But I brought down this branch here. We've got much better, if you remember, this one was pointing up and this one was kind of going that way. So we got much better ramification now in the tree. I also took off the old wire because, as you can see, there is a bit of scarring and a little bit of scarring there as well. So took it off. I did decide to cut this branch off as well because it was too thick and too upright. So we've got a bud here at the base, and this bud is going to be the new branch coming out into this space come spring. And this one up here as well, I just wanted to add, I did take off, there was 3 branches here, so I took out the middle one, and I completely managed to pass by that on the previous clip. I don't know how, but that should hopefully add a bit more better taper when it comes to it. But this one as well, I also wired, so I wired all these branches. You'll have to excuse my wiring. I've done loads of wiring. I mean, I've done, you know, a fair bit, but I haven't been doing it for too long, so you'll have to excuse if it's a little bit shabby, but it's definitely better than what it was 2 years ago. So this one I've also wired out now, added a bit of movement into it, and then once all these buds come out, hopefully we can actually, by the end, this time next year, hopefully these pads, at least these 2, will be filled out really nicely, and then these ones up the top, we've just got to fill out as well. I haven't added any wire to them because I'm not sure if I want the branches there or if I'm going to cut them back more. So at this rate, I'm just going to leave it to grow, see how it turns out, see where some buds pop up, what one's open, and we'll go from there. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.